said. And I have to say as well, the players have delivered. Let's remind you, there hasn't been a single goalless game all weekend, and stories wherever you look. And as I say, it did begin on Friday night with that incredible one. Brentford, after 74 years away from the top flight, beating Arsenal by 2-0. 5 goals in a 5-star performance for Manchester United. A hat-trick for Bruno Fernandes against Leeds United. Brighton coming from behind to win at Burnley. Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, the European champions, defeating Crystal Palace by 3-0. Rafa Benitez in charge of Everton for the first time, coming behind to get a winning start. Leicester too, getting 3 points on the board. Watford, the new boys, beating Aston Villa. And Liverpool, with Van Dijk and Matip back, beating Norwich by 3-0. And then today, the drama continued because Newcastle were 2-1 up in front of a packed St James's Park again for the first time in 18 months. But West Ham, last season's 6th place team, hit back to win 4-2. And then all the talk about Harry Kane, all the talk about Jack Grealish and the defending Premier League champions, Heung-min Son's goal, means it's Spurs who take all 3 points at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
What do you say about your managerial debut for Tottenham Hotspur?
It was good. It was good. I think the atmosphere, especially the hard work of the boys, can make any manager proud when they work so hard.
Did you find you had to turn things around after the first 10-15 minutes? Did Manchester City come out quickly?
Of course, it was strong. And I think we were lucky because they had clear chances. But the boys hold on. They stay in the game. We knew that it's going to be tough. I think after that first period, like you say, 15 minutes, I think we control better, we adjust better, and we start creating our chances. The first half, I think we didn't finish so good with the actions. Even those that we shoot on goal, we didn't do it. But like you said, the beginning of the game was very tough.
That hard work, that resilience you talk about, was that epitomised by the man of the match, Japhet Tanganga?
Definitely, not only him. I think in terms of shape, in terms of organisation, the front three work very hard. Closing the gaps. It's very difficult to play against City. The way they build the first moment with these 4 players and Fernandinho is very difficult. It requires a lot of discipline, so the boys were okay.
It's only one game, of course, a fabulous start to the season. But you heard the crowd singing, "Are you watching Harry Kane?" Could that help when a player is unsettled? He sees a victory like that, knows this is team capable of things?
Look, Harry is one of the best players in the world, honestly. So we are very lucky to have him. So he has to get ready and help the team.
Do you expect him to be available for you against Wolves, your next game?
I don't know. We still have to go to Portugal. And then we think about Wolves.
And also, in terms of today, what do you think you learned from your team?
I'm sure that with commitment and with the talent that we have, we're going to be a good team. And we are in the process of that. I'm learning every day. Every day that I work with them, I'm learning every day. And I'm very proud of them today. Very proud.
Great start. Well done,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I think they spotted a weakness in the Manchester City defence, and I think they went after that weakness. They were brilliant at what they did. They defended deep when they had to, but because of the pace and the enthusiasm and the ability that they had in forward positions, when they won the ball at the back, it was bang, straight away. They were going to attack that Man City defence, and they could have caused them more problems in that first half. We highlighted when they got into good positions with a better ball or an earlier ball, and they could have scored 1 or 2 in that first half. And City didn't look at that warning, and it was successful for Spurs again in the second half, because there was 3 or 4 occasions where again they broke with pace, with the ability that they had, and that's eventually how they got the goal. But it could have been 2 or 3 more because of exactly that.
Let's speak to a man who's had a fortunate seat, who knows the club inside out, of course. Our very own Glenn Hoddle was at the stadium today. Glenn, how much did you enjoy that performance from your former club?
Yeah, it was a wonderful performance. Tactically, they got it absolutely spot on, Tottenham. You know, I think the first 10 minutes was their hardest moments. I think City came out the traps pretty quick, and you thought it was going to be a long, long day for them. But no, I've got to say they worked exceedingly hard. The tactics of the 3 front players not allowing City to come through the centre of the pitch worked a treat. And every man worked so hard for Tottenham. They really did. As Alan said, they're talking weekend, it was all about the counter-attack, and they had opportunities to actually put the game to bed, but you wondered whether it was going to be one of those days where those positions and those chances that they created on the break, if they didn't take the second one, they could have got punished at the other end. But no, all in all, it was a fantastic atmosphere here. It really was. The crowd were brilliant. They played their part as well.
Glenn, were we right in here in the crowd singing, "Oh, you're watching Harry Kane"? Was that what they were singing?
They absolutely were, Alan. Yeah, and that was with a few minutes to go, and I'm thinking, oh no, don't get the equaliser. But I thought we did have a laugh actually. We had a little smile on that one, and I'm sure Harry would as well. But one swallow doesn't make a summer, does it?
And in terms of the goal, did that sort of epitomise the plan of Tottenham all day, what you were talking about there?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Mora was the man of the match. This little flick here that we're going to see is absolutely exquisite, perfectly weighted, and that's what they were doing all day to City, breaking quickly. And this time, it was 1v1. They got the centre back out there, and Son just comes in, no cover there. It's a poor goal to give away. I thought Diaz really should have done better. I think his keeper thought he should have done better as well. But this is it. They're banked up. They defended stoutly. They defended in numbers, but they broke as well. And I think that's the beauty when you've got pace in the side. And Tottenham did that to City time and time again today. And that's their Achilles heel, City. We know that. And, Son punishes her beautifully. He earned the space that he created. And he was left 1v1. You've got to get some cover. I don't care who you are at this level, especially Son, you've got to get better cover on the inside. Show him outside, but cover on the inside, because, these players are sharp. If one little body swerve and they can open up spaces. So realistically, that cover wasn't there, and it's a terrific finish. But one I think Spurs deserved. Overall, I think they were the better team, the way they set up.
Glenn, there's no doubt about it. I think that was certainly a tactic of Spurs, wasn't it, to hit them on the break, because there were 2 or 3 occasions, even in the first half, where with better balls and better quality, they could have caused them problems again. But Man City didn't learn from that, and they got caught 4 or 5 times in the second half.
Well, they did. I felt there Højbjerg just takes it on another 2 or 3 yards, then slides Sonny in. That would have been better. Those were the opportunities Spurs were creating, and I was sitting up there thinking, no, you've got to punish them. You've got to take those opportunities. Alan, we know you cannot have the ball against City. You can't expect to take the ball off them. You have to hit them on the break. And most teams that play against them, that's the only thing. And Spurs did it really well. This is a great example. On the edge of the box, they break, first pass forward, which is important. And there, for me, is the man of the match. Mora was absolutely superb. And again, it's 1v1, it's 2v2s, and you're just thinking, can they just get that goal? But patience. In the end, they did it. It was a good closing from Dele Alli. Dele Alli played a lot deeper today, and he played really quite a disciplined role and did it well.
And what about young Tanganga at the back in terms of having to face Grealish and Sterling on one side? I thought he was magnificent, wasn't he?
He was. I mean, tactically and defensively, they got it right. He was absolutely brilliant defensively. He did his job, as you say. He had 2 players sometimes to deal with, and this is the opportunity there that I thought would have killed the game off from Bergwijn, but it wasn't to be. Tanganga, defensively, as good as anyone on the pitch. He really was, fabulous. And the applause that he got when he came off behind the goal, where the big 17,000 copies, was quite incredible. If you're ever going to go off, that's the place to go off. If you've had a good game, that is.
Yeah, given the team, Les, because you shared your concerns when you saw the lineup, to produce a performance like Glenn says, tactically like that will give them so much confidence. Right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, when I looked at the back 4, I thought if City gets at them, there'll be a problem. But I thought tactically they were absolutely spot on with I think Skip and Højbjerg in the middle there, just protecting the back 4. I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
No, they were. They got it right, and Nuno's got to be applauded for what he's done in his first game. It really was they did it in the League Cup final like that, strangely enough. Now, whether they've learned from that, they didn't do it behind in the midfield areas. That wasn't as good in that final. But the front 3, they squeezed in and made sure they didn't go through the middle. So they might have learned a little bit from that, but then they took it on. But the main thing when you're playing like that, guys, as you would know, you've got to have some pace. You've got to be able to break and be a threat at the other end. And Spurs were that all day long.
And for Nuno in his first game, Glenn, to put a plan like that together to beat the champions, I mean, what a start for him at his new club.
well, you go to a new club, a new manager, new set of fans, you beat the champions, you can't start any better, Steve, can you? And it's the way that they did it as well, you know. They rode their luck in the early part of the game, but this was down to a very astute performance from Tottenham, and they can go on the front foot now. You know, whether Harry stays or he goes, this is a wonderful shot in the arm for Tottenham. It really is. And these fans, you know, they know perhaps Harry's going, but at the end of the day, their support is their support for their club. It always has been, and for the future it always will be. Players come and go, and at the end of the day, they took the roof off, as I said today. The atmosphere in here was sensational. It really was. It was a bit like Newcastle, Al, Les.
It's good, Glenn, but it's not that good. Come on.
Not Newcastle today.
Not today, anyway.
No, yeah.
We're going to hear from Nuno in a moment, but he has said that Harry needs to train and get fit to take part in games. What do you think the next chapter of this subplot is, Glenn?
Well, unfortunately, as a Spurs man, I'd love him to stay, but I wouldn't begrudge him. And I don't think these Spurs fans would begrudge him moving on to City to try and win trophies. Spurs are where they're at. They should have built 2 years ago when they were in the Champions League. You know, they papered over the cracks to a certain degree that season, getting to the final. But no, I think Harry will be a City player by the end of the week. I really do.
Do you?
Yeah. I think if it's for the right price, Daniel won't let him go for any, you know, he'll go for the right price. But I think it might suit both clubs after all. And the main thing for Nuno and Tottenham is that they get him over the line and get it done so that the money can be spent, probably not all of it, but can be spent in time before the transfer deadline shuts. And this time, I didn't think they used Gareth Bale's money particularly well back in that time. And I think this time they've got to learn from the lessons and make sure that they get the players in of quality. They've already got some quality here. People like Mora, people like Bergwijn, they've got to come to the party more consistently. I think people are forgetting that. Son we already know about, but at the end of the day, there's got some good players here, and if they can add to it, you know, who knows what can happen. But I think it's going to be a patient season for Tottenham fans.
In terms of that result today, Glenn, that can only help Daniel in getting his asking price, can't it?
Absolutely, without a doubt. You know, and there's some confidence about the place. You know, City don't travel to this new stadium very well. They've been turned over here in the Champions League. You know, obviously over the 2 legs it was, but you know, it's not a good stadium for them to come to. And today the guys have worked really hard. They've put a good game plan together, executed it, and got the 3 points. And it's a fabulous way of starting. With, you know, imagine this place now if we'd have lost 2-0. You know, Harry not going to be leaving. It would be totally different. There is a buzz in this place, and rightly so. So yes, it's not a bad week to do any negotiations.
Les, do you go along with Glenn's thoughts there about a completion to this Harry Kane chapter?
Yeah, I think so, and I think as Glenn said there, if it's going to happen, it needs to happen now, because if it doesn't, you know, you're scratching around trying to bring the players in that you want to bring in to strengthen the squad. And if Harry does go, I mean, Daniel, as you know, Glenn, is notorious for doing his business in the last week of the window. That doesn't let the manager any opportunity to go and get the players that he wants to strengthen the team.
Les, I think that would be disaster for Tottenham, and I think that's what the Spurs fans are they're having to put up with. Yes, Harry's going to go, but to put up, you know, with only 24 hours to try and get a replacement is ludicrous. It really is. So get the deal done if it's going to be done. Harry gets what he wants. We then end up, Tottenham end up getting the money in to try and, you know, there's a list. Obviously, they're looking at people now to bring in if this happens. So at the end of the day, it's got to be done quickly so that they can build this squad.
But that's not Daniel's fault. He set a price, and if Man City won't go to that price, then Harry stays at Tottenham, no?
Well, under 3-year contract, yeah. But I think it's an interesting negotiation, Alan, because in the end, I think a year down the line, Harry's another year older. I don't think Daniel's in a strong position, so it wouldn't surprise me if deep down Daniel knows it's time for him to move on and get the real money that he really wants. And I think it would be around about 130 that would make him go.
Chỗ để gì ở đây cho bà. Bà chắc ít đất thế là không trồng nhiều như cái kia.
Làm gì cái đất?
Đấy thì có nghĩa ý là cháu là có nghĩa là bà còn một đoạn ít này thì trồng hết dọc vùng với cả bí rồi. Và
Còn thì đằng kia là rồi.
đằng kia thì lại nhiều rau hơn ạ, nhiều loại khác đúng không ạ?
Mỗi người một ít, một thứ.
Chỗ nào mà cháu không biết nhỉ?
Chỗ bà Lũy đằng kia kìa, vườn đằng kia.
Gần chỗ đoạn bãi Tham Ma hơn ạ?
Đâu, bãi đảo ma đâu, ngay đây. Bãi mà không có.
À có nghĩa là cách đây vài mét thôi gì ạ?